Okay, welcome back. We've been talking about elasticity of demand is equal to a percent change in the quantity demanded over a percent change in the price. It means that we're looking at a demand curve that looks like this, and we're looking at two spots on the demand curve. And we're saying, what's the elasticity of demand between these 2 points right here? So we want to take a percent change in quantity demanded. So elasticity of demand is equal to the new quantity demanded minus the old quantity demanded divided by the old quantity demanded times 100. That's a percent change, okay? That's our numerator. The denominator is going to be a percent change in price. So take the new price minus the old price, divide it by the old price, and times it by 100. And it's going to equal one number here over one number here, okay? When you divide that into that, you're going to get your elasticity of demand. Now the key to this right here is identifying which one is the old price and which one is the new price, and making sure you stick with that. So if P1 is the new price, you would plug that in. If P2 was the old price, you would plug that in. Q1 and Q2 the same way. Now, this is this same formula just written out, and if we had numbers, we could plug it in. But there's one problem here. Because we're trying to find the elasticity of demand between these two prices, if we plug in numbers, and we've identified P1 as the old, and P2 is the new, that makes Q1 the old and Q2 the new. If we plugged in numbers for those calculations, we would get a coefficient here. But if we reversed these and we made P2 be the old and P1 be the new, and vice versa here, you're going to get a different number. So the problem is when you're going down in price, you're going to get one calculation. When you're going up in price, you're going to get another calculation. So you may have learned this in a high school or previous economics class, but what we do now at this level is we say that's not really a very efficient number. That coefficient doesn't tell us anything if it's moving or changing depending on whether we're going down in price or up in price. So what economists use is a midpoint formula. And you're going to take the midpoint between these two prices right here. And we say then, if there's a given price change, whatever it is, how much will the quantity demanded change between these two prices? And if we calculate the midpoint of this, we're going to get an average between the prices and an average between the quantities. And we're going to calculate our elasticity right there at the midpoint. So we're going to use what's called a midpoint formula. And I'm going to go from here and come back in just a few minutes. I'll erase this and we'll look at the numbers for the midpoint formula and how to use it. Going forward, that's the calculation you always want to use. It used to be called the arc elasticity formula, but it's a midpoint. It's taking basically a derivative right at that point right there, but we're going to come back to that later. Okay, thanks.